Hello and welcome to ELEC50B, the AC Electronics course. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And when you go on Canvas and you click on our course, you'll be greeted with the welcome screen here, right, the home page. And this gives you a lot of the information for the course. And you can also go into the syllabus and you can download the syllabus if you want a hard copy, or you can read it here online. The course is really designed in a modular format. So each week we'll have our modules where it has information for that week. I always have a PowerPoint. There'll be a homework assignment that this is just going to be a file that you can print, and then you'll fill it out with pen and paper or pencil, and then you'll turn that into the instructor during the lab time. All right, then I also have a week one, just a little blurb about what's going on that week in a video with some examples of some of the assignments that you'll have to do and so forth. But let me share my screen again. So let me stop this share, and then I want to share my PowerPoint. All right, so hopefully you can see this screen here. And this is the course introduction. I want to go through this real quick. Now, ELEC50B is a continuation of ELEC50A. And if you have not taken ELEC50A, it is our recommendation as a department that you don't take 50B without having taken ELEC50A or an equivalent course at another college. Some students will try to do both of them at the same time, and it is really, really difficult. So we just have learned over the years that it's better to just say, I'm going to do 50A first, and then I'll do 50B. And if you notice the schedule this semester, it's pretty common for both our fall and our spring semester to be almost identical, where there are at least 3 sections of 50A and 3 sections of 50B. And they're various, either in-person, fully, hybrid, like this course, where the lecture's online and the lab is in person, or fully online. So you have some options there. All right, but this course is going to look at AC electronics, and we'll talk about the AC sine wave in our first lecture. All right, now this course is hybrid, and the lecture is online. The lab is in person. The lab will meet every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. until 9:40 p.m. in room 403 of building 28B. The last day to add this semester is 6 September. Last day to drop with a full refund is 6 September. And the last day to drop with a W is the 1st of November. All right, my office hours, my office is in room 408C in building 28B. I am in my office for office hours on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 7:30 a.m. until 8 a.m. when I have a class that starts at 8 a.m. And I'm also in my office on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 2:40 p.m. until 3:40 p.m. I am also available on Zoom if you need to meet with me outside of my office hours, or you want to do it virtually. If you look in the syllabus, there's a URL that you can click on that will send me a notice that you're waiting to connect with me on Zoom, and I'll get that and I'll be able to jump on there. It's probably going to be easier if you email me first and say, hey, professor, can we meet on Wednesday at, 5:30 p.m. At that time? And then I'll say yes or no, and we'll kind of schedule something, and then we can get on Zoom that way. But I am available for that. Now, you do need to be proficient with using Canvas. If you've taken an online class or a hybrid class, you go to the portal inside.montsac.edu and you click on Canvas, and then the what do they call those now? The tab or the sheet or whatever the little card is on the new portal, and click on Canvas, and then you'll see in there, if you're registered for ELEC50B, the course, you can click on there and you'll get into the course. All right. You do need to purchase the following equipment or required materials: the textbook, which is this textbook here, right? The fundamentals, and that's gonna not go in focus. Yeah, sorry about that. There it goes, a little bit better. But it's the fundamentals of electronics, and it's the AC circuits textbook. These textbooks are available. The campus bookstore may or may not have copies of it. They may have one or two of them. But if you go to Day and Night Bookstore, which is, I have the address here, is 2268 East Cary Road in Walnut. So that's down past, if you go on Temple past Grand and keep going that direction, you'll run into the bookstore. It's the Day and Night bookstore is down there. Okay. You also will need to get the parts kit. Now, if you've taken ELEC50A, the DC electronics, the parts for this course are in that same parts kit. All right. And you can get the parts kit through the Day and Night bookstore. The campus bookstore may have those parts as well, but we've had some issues where their parts in the bookstore may not be as organized, and sometimes some of the stuff might be missing or maybe mislabeled. So I recommend you go to Day and Night. They're kind of our go-to. And you also are going to need to use the same calculator that you used in 50A, right? That Sharp calculator. You can also purchase these online. And so we have, and you can see those calculators. I'll bring one to the first class. The instructor for the lab will have one as well. And you can take a look at it and take a picture of it and then go find it. I've seen them at Target, Walmart, definitely on Amazon or anywhere else. All right. This course, the way you're going to be evaluated on this course is there are 13 weekly quizzes, which are homeworks, right? And you'll have, they'll be available, like homework 1 is available to you in week 1, and you have that week until the following Thursday. So when you start lab 2, which will be on Thursday of week 2, at the beginning of the class, I want you to hand in homework 1. All right, you're going to do it on paper. A lot of it is math homework or working with sine waves and doing conversions from voltage peak to peak, voltage peak, VRMS, all those things we'll get into in the next, in lecture 1. But it's going to be a hands-on assignment. So you'll be able to get a copy of the homework on Canvas. I'll have a document where you can get the document and print it. If you don't have access to a printer, I will have those available that you can pick up when we meet for lab. All right. Speaking of labs, there are 17 lab assignments, and there'll be one every week. A couple of weeks we'll have 2 assignments. And the lab exercises are designed to give you practical hands-on experience with the material that we've covered that week. So like week 1, you'll start looking at the oscilloscope and you'll get some example, um, uh, a function generator. You'll see how all of the equipment starts working together. All right. There's also 3 exams in this course, written exams, exam 1, exam 2, and the final exam. All of those are worth 100 points each, and those will be take home or do at home exams, and then you'll turn them in the week after they've been assigned. So like lab or exam 1 will be given out in week 7 or week 6, I believe it is, and you will turn it in on the night of the lab on week 7. So the week after it's been assigned, that's when you will turn it in. And I will have those printed out for you, and we'll give those to you the following week or the previous week in lab. All right. There's also a lab midterm, which is like an oscilloscope midterm, practical lab. And then there's also a lab final practical that you'll do. And if you look at these points here, there's a total of 700 points. And, 300 of them come from the exams. 170 are coming out of the labs, 130 for the quizzes, and then the lab final in the lab midterm. So that gives us a total of 700 points. All right. The weekly homework assignments will be due on Thursday at the beginning of lab the week after they are assigned. And then the weekly labs will be performed in person. So you'll go into room 403 in building 28B on Thursday night from 6:30 p.m. until 9:40 p.m. and you'll have plenty of time to perform that week's labs. All right. And when you do the labs, make sure you read what it's asking. Sometimes students get in the bad habit of just trying to jam through everything and get it done as quick as possible. I highly recommend you read the labs. Now, the lab instructor will have printed all the labs for you and give those to you. So you don't have to buy the lab manual or anything like, there is no lab manual to purchase. We'll give you the labs, all right? And then you'll just want to make sure that you are familiar with what you're doing for the labs. The instructor is really good. Professor Alagi is really good at demoing some of the stuff. So he'll show you in class, here's what we're doing tonight. You're going to do this circuit. You're going to look at these parameters, right? So make sure you read the lab assignments. Take your time. There's more than enough time to get through these labs, okay? Always perform the steps in order. Sometimes people, I didn't understand that part, so I skipped it and I went to the next part and it builds, right? So part 1 may be necessary. You understand that so that you can actually do part 2, part 3, and part 4, right? Sometimes you can read past part of the procedures and go from there. The other thing is if there's a section that asks you an open-ended question, make sure you use a full sentence. Now, this is not an English class. We are not grading you on grammar and, your spelling or anything like that. But think of it as practice for when you have to turn in written materials to your boss when you get hired in a full-time position or a part-time position. And you want to make sure that you are capable of communicating effectively. All right. The other thing is when you get parts out of the stock room, make sure you turn them in the way you receive them. So for example, if you pick up a digital multimeter or an oscilloscope, probe or whatever, if it's on, if the multimeter will be in the off position, when you turn it back in, make sure it's off. Okay. Otherwise, the person in the lab, they'll hand it back and say, hey, turn that off. And that's their way of saying it needs to be in the state it was when you got it. All right. And the other thing is if you're going to miss an exam, now they're take-home exams, You're going to do them at home. You only have that week to do them though. If something comes up and you're, out of the country or detained, your work sends you to another workplace for that week and you just can't do it, let me know beforehand. If you come to me the week it's due and say, "Oh, hey, I was out of town all last week," that's not going to fly. You've got to let me know beforehand. I mean, we'll work with you, but you've got to, um, respect the fact that you've got to communicate with us to make sure. All right. The other thing is you signed up for this course on your own, you can drop it on your own. So make sure that if you just stop showing up, you stop doing anything on Canvas, you stop coming to the labs, don't assume you're going to get dropped. Make sure you go and drop the course. All right. And then finally, um, during the lab assignments, there may be opportunities where you can work with other people. It's not like every lab is a test. I mean, it's a learning environment. So if you want to talk to somebody next door, the person next to you and say, "Hey, how did you build this circuit?" and then look at them, that's perfectly fine. We also will have the lab assistant. I believe we have a lab assistant for Thursday night that will come in and be able to help you with that as well. All right. But when you turn in your exams, that is not help yourself with your neighbor, right? The exams are closed, they're open book. But you still have to do your own work on the lab. So if you photocopy your exam and someone else puts their name on it, both of you are going to receive a 0 on that exam. All right. So make sure you're capable of that. The last thing I want to tell you is downloading or otherwise copying your textbooks from unauthorized sources like BitTorrents or anything like that are not tolerated. So make sure you purchase the material. It's not that expensive, and you'll be good to go there. And it's a great resource to keep on your bookshelf for a long time. The other thing is when you come into the lab, turn off your phone or put it on silent. And if you're just sitting there playing games, texting, watching Instagram videos or TikTok or whatever it is during the lab, don't even bother showing up. I mean, if that's what you're going to use the lab time for, you can do that on your own time. Granted, Mount SAC does not have you're not investing a whole lot of money, but still $46 a unit is still enough you want to get your money's worth. So make sure you're focused and on task for that night's lab. The other thing is if you get tired, don't just put your head down and take a nap for 2 hours and then say, "Oh, can I stay late and work on the lab?" The answer is going to be no, right? You have the lab time to do your lab. And if you get tired, get up, go walk around, go get a cup of coffee downstairs or, down in the break area in building 28A and, or walk a lap around the floor, right? The fourth floor there, get some exercise, get yourself back up. I know a lot of you are probably working during the day. That's why you're taking this course hybrid. And you may have had a full day of work. Maybe you've worked under the sun and you're just kind of beat down, but you just got to really put the effort into learning this material. All right. So that's what I wanted to talk about as far as getting started on this week. Now, another thing, I don't think I mentioned this, but you have to show up for the first week's lab. If you don't show up for the lab on Thursday, you will be dropped for no-show. So I will do a roll call and take attendance on Thursday. And if you're not there, I'm gonna drop you for a no-show and then I'll add whoever wants to add. Because the last I looked, we had about 22 people in the course, 21 or 22. So, make sure you show up. Because I have no idea of knowing if you just didn't show up because, something came up or if you're not coming to the course. So the school has us do, you have to show up for the first either lecture or the lab. And because this is hybrid, we'll do it with the lab. All right. And that should be enough to get you started and ready to go for the first meeting of our lab, and then familiar with the course. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.